tells you how run down I am when I start to doze off and zone out during the 30-second countdown. And on that note, happy Wednesday, Bayou Blitz family and all of Who Dat Nation. I am Bob Rose. I am your elderly and weary co-host of your Bayou Blitz. Joining me is Brendan Boylan, your younger, more vibrant co-host of the Bayou Blitz, and the somewhere in between vibrant and elderly host of Under the Dome, Alan Ulrich. Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
Doing fine. I think actually I'm older than you, Bob.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm younger than both of you, but I've really felt it the last few days. Being stuck in the house, especially with snow, is no fun. Bob knows what I'm talking about. Well, at least I had power, unlike Bob a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it's no fun when you literally can't go out for a couple days. And I know a lot of you here in the U.S. know exactly what I'm talking about. I know there was a lot of people who got hit with that weird wintry storm that kind of swept across the East Coast and north. But we're here. We're going to give you guys a fun show. As I like to say, we're kind of in silly season, so we're going to be talking about a handful of different things. But you know what's not silly and not cold? That's that upcoming cruise, Bob. You can say you're a month and some change away from finding Bob Rose in the Bahamas, and he may or may not start doing photo shoots for the Bayou Blitz calendar. Cannot confirm that last part, but I can confirm there's an incredible cruise coming up that we love to promote week in and week out, along with a great organization. So, Bob, go ahead and tell the people about Get Checked, or Check Out, and the upcoming Go Black and Gold celebrity charity fan cruise.
Yeah, it's something that we take a lot of pride in. Here, something that creates a lot of excitement. But guys, we need more of your help. I know there are tons of you that watch the show. There are tons of you that follow all three of us on social media. We've talked about this thing for over a year now. I need you to start filling some seats, filling some cabins on this thing. First of all, the trip is sponsored by Get Checked or Check Out. Check out their website at tcynow.org. Donate if you have a little bit extra money. Every little cent helps. Get Checked or Check Out is an organization set in place to guide people and their families through adverse scary medical situations. You hear or find out something that just has your world spinning. You don't know where to turn next. Get Checked or Check Out will help steer you in the right direction for treatment options, research options, therapy options, both individual and family, as a strong promoter of both physical and mental health. They helped out over 2,500 cases in 2025. We are looking for that number to significantly go up this year. I talked to the co-founder, Shireen, last night. She said 2026 has already gotten off to a great start. As far as cases that Get Checked or Check Out has been able to help out with. But again, to be there to help us, we need to be there to help them out. And the major fundraiser that Get Checked or Check Out does every year is their foundation's Go Black and Gold Celebrity Charity Fan Cruise. The 2026 cruise, as Brendan said, it is just around the corner. Begins Thursday, March 26th, comes back on Monday, March 30th. I know I'll be leaving on Thursday, March 26th. Don't know yet whether I'll be coming back on March 30th. I'll keep you all posted as far as that goes. But we're so excited. This year's trip is going to be in the tropical Bahamas. Now, it's docking out of Jacksonville, Florida. However, if you're coming from New Orleans or the Gulf Coast region, there are still tour bus packages available where all you guys can just travel together straight into Jacksonville. Or you could do what I'm doing. I'm coming down from the north, so my family and I will be flying in. But regardless, we're departing from Jacksonville, Florida on Thursday, March 26th, and going to embark on an unforgettable week in the tropical Bahamas. And we're going to be joining Saints legends Tyrone Hughes, Michael Lewis, and Courtney Roby for sure. There's a couple others that might be pending. Delvin Bro may or may not come. I hope I'm allowed to say this, but there is a new addition coming to the Bro family. To join Delvin and DJ and that wonderful family, our wonderful family. But fortunately / unfortunately, the due date is right around that time. So Delvin might be otherwise busy and unable to attend this year's cruise. Irregardless, D, if you're watching, congratulations. I know I'll be talking to you soon one way or another. But whether or not Delvin is going to come, Tyrone, Mike, Courtney, all going to be there. They're bringing their families as they always do. And listen, we're all hanging out together for the duration of the trip. We're eating meals together. We're hanging out in our own sections of the ship together. We'll have our own sections of the beach together. You have an opportunity to play beach Olympic events and compete in a controversial but highly entertaining putt-putt golf tournament to be captained by the aforementioned Saints legends. And like I said, game nights, trivia, a karaoke contest, theme nights, you name it, this cruise is going to have it. And we get to party our days and nights away together. And we get to do it for a cause to benefit a wonderful charity. There's also going to be a cocktail contest on the beach, which may or may not have something to do with whether I return on March 30th or not. Again, I'll keep you posted, but you can reserve your spot. There are still cabins available. We need, folks, absolutely need a minimum of 6 more. And I'm putting that on you guys. You guys need to come through. Treat yourself to it. Just an unbelievable experience. And you can reserve your spot by contacting Summer Cochran through Seven Seas Travel. Summer's number is 985-788-6584. You can also contact Shireen, the co-founder of Get Checked or Check Out, at 504-305-7563. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me for any questions about the organization, any questions about the cruise. You want to hear about more of my experiences last year, to sway whether you go on this one or not. I'll tell you anything you want to know. So reach out to me, text, email, direct message, whatever you need to do. But please, this organization needs our help, and in benefiting such a terrific charity, such a wonderful group of people. You get to also treat yourself to a once in a lifetime, or maybe not once in a lifetime, because I guarantee you, once you experience it, you're going to want to be a lifer at these things. They've already won me over, obviously, by the way I talk about them. I want them to give themselves a chance to win you over as well. So please book that cabin today. Treat yourself to an unbelievable time in the Bahamas.
I think that was pretty convincing, Bob. I think it was. I know you're excited. I know your family's excited. As you said, this is an event now that you guys are making sure you're at year in and year out. And look, it takes a lot for Bob to commit to something, right? I mean, look how long it took Bob.
I'm not sure how to take that.
And look how long it took Bob to commit to doing a podcast with me. We knew each other for 5 years before. I'm just kidding. But no, I know the one thing that I know of many things I know about Bob Rose is Bob doesn't give his stamp of approval away very easily. That is something that's very reserved and locked up. And so when Bob speaks highly about someone or something, it truly comes from the heart. So that's all you need to know. Bob has been promoting the hell out of this for... When did you guys come back last year? Right? Like, that's how long it's been. It's been almost 365 days that Bob's been promoting the hell out of this. So make sure if you're looking at your calendar and you need a vacation, you got to use some PTO, or you're just sitting in a cold part of the country thinking, I got to get the heck out of here and get into some warm tropical weather. Bob is one of those people. But if you're feeling that way too, go ahead, take a look. I'll throw it back up on the screen real quick. Get checked or check out tcynow.org. You can call Shireen. You can call Summer. You can reach out to Bob. You can DM Bob. You can do whatever you got to do to make sure you get on that boat here in just over a month and some change. Guys, I said it's silly season. I like to talk about different things, obviously. But especially on this show, it is one of those things, how can we tie it in? And I remember sitting here over the last 197 episodes with Bob, Alan, and all the different guests we've had. And I think one thing that has came up consistent over probably the last 2 years, there's been a lot more of like the fire Mickey Loomis crowd over the last 2 years. There's been a lot more of question marks towards the ownership and maybe some of the incompetence of how to run a franchise. And you're starting to see it leak over a little bit to the other franchise that the Benson family owns. They're right across the street at Smoothie King Center, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm going to read you this quote that comes from Matt Moore. Matt Moore is a writer for Action Network HQ. He's also the host of Locked On NBA. I know a lot of people who like listening to the Locked On Sports Network. They do a great job over there. Ross Jackson, mutual friend of ours, a great guy. He's over on Locked On Saints. So Matt Moore, Locked On NBA, said this about the Pelicans today. Mind you, you're non-basketball fans or people who are casual basketball fans, the NBA trade deadline is tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern time. From Matt Moore, quote, still, sources around the league have said they get the message from the Pelicans is that they believe they have a playoff roster. They just need the right combination of coaching and development to unlock it. So my question to you guys, right out the gate, how similar does that sound to some of the post-Sean Payton New Orleans Saints teams? We like, or even what was the Sean Payton quote? We like the guys in the room. How similar does that sound to how the Saints have been run? And how frustrating is it to hear a franchise that, like I said, is right across the damn street continuing to be okay being mediocre? Because to me, this sounds very similar to what we got out of the Saints the last few years. Obviously, this year, a little bit more optimism towards the end of the year. Pelicans really haven't had that over the last Lord knows how long.
Well, the thing about the Pelicans is they've needed an overhaul for a long, long time. You have a football family running a basketball team. That's probably the best way I can put it. And the NBA is not like the NFL from a competitive standpoint. What the Pelicans are willing to trade away is what nobody wants. The players that are injured a lot, the players that cost them a lot of money. What teams are wanting at the trade deadline, they're wanting all the young, good players that are pretty much developed. They want Trey Murphy. They want, I can't think of it. I'm not a big Pelicans fan. In fact, I don't follow them at all. My kids follow them. That's how I know who some of these people are. There's a couple other players that are young that they really like that they want the Pelicans to trade to build a super team, trade him to the Lakers, trade him to the Celtics, trade him. And that's the thing about the NBA is, the league likes having super teams in the major markets because that's what brings in the ratings. The New Orleans Pelicans are either the smallest or second to smallest basketball franchise market in the NBA. Them having a lot of good players isn't what the NBA is all about.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather see those guys in the Knicks. They want to see those guys with the Lakers, like I said before, even the Clippers, a major market team, Dallas, one of those kind of teams, because that's what draws the ratings. That's what draws people to watch the NBA. They want to see basically an all-star team out there playing.
Mm-hmm.
And the NFL model they're trying to do with the Pelicans doesn't work. That's what makes it even worse, because you gave away an unprotected pick for a good player, but you need your picks. You're not going to have a shot again unless you're going to be another, I don't even know what they are. I think they're a 10 or 11 win team. You can't wait and have another bad season of 10 or 11 wins, because then you have a lottery. And just because you have more ping pong balls doesn't mean you can get the number one overall pick. So it's hard to build a team unless you draft consistently well and you can attract good players to your team. And the Pelicans can't do either. I mean, Bob, do you have any comments on that? I know you don't follow that at all. You're not even in this town. I'll be honest with you. New Orleans isn't a basketball city either.
It isn't.
No.
It sounds so eerie similar of... I used Mickey Loomis as the example.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Dumars gets hired to run the Pelicans, a guy who's...
He's a Loomis friend.
And he's in the Hall of Fame. He's been successful as a player, obviously with the Bad Boy Pistons. He's from Louisiana. He has a track record being an executive or even working for the NBA over the last few years. But again, it's a friend of the family.
Yes, and the Pistons have done a lot better now that he's gone.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have a great track record as an executive.
He doesn't have a good track record as an executive.
No, but it's one of those. It's like, it's kind of like me going, okay, well, I have a friend who kind of knows about this, so let me hire them, and I'm just gonna let them do whatever, and I'm gonna blindly support them doing whatever they want to do for however many years. To me, it just sounds so much like how the Bensons treated Mickey Loomis the last couple years of, whatever Mickey wants to do. But to have a report like that for the Pelicans of, well, we feel like we have a roster in place. It's just about maximizing the roster. And it's like, guys, you're like 13 and 39.
Yeah.
That's
insane.
You're not making the playoffs.
No, and they don't have a playoff roster. Zion Williamson can't even stay a full season healthy.
Right,
he's
overweight. That's your superstar player, and he doesn't even want to be there.
Not anymore, no, because he can't stay healthy and he doesn't want to be there. The last superstar they had here that wanted to be here, could stay healthy, was a good player, was Chris Paul. And Chris Paul left only because this team is just running the treadmill. Okay. They're going to make it. They've made the playoffs. I think they've actually won a playoff series, but they haven't come close to hitting the finals. Not even close. And it's hard to get people interested in the NBA to begin with, because the first half of the NBA season is Saints season, and people rather watch the Saints than the Pelicans. So you've got to have a good team by December just to keep the fans interested. If you only have 3 wins and it's January, no one's watching. No one's going to the games. No, I mean, it's hard to get people, pull them in to watch these games. I mean, that's not fully the reason, but part of the reason that the Jazz left here in 1979. The Jazz were trying to compete for the same dollars the Saints were drawing, and they didn't even have a basketball facility. They were sharing a locker room with the Saints. They were sharing a weight room with the Saints. They had to play games in the Superdome. Well, it works for college basketball when you're playing the Final Four. It doesn't work weekly where you're playing a lot of NBA games, because in the Superdome's case, it's a lot of moving of the floor, and they've got Mardi Gras balls. They've got all kinds of other things going on in the city that the Superdome hosts. So that's longer road trips that a team has to play because they don't have a facility to play in. That's why the arena was built. But the arena is already 20 years old, 25 years old, something like that. It needs to be renovated.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And you just don't have the draw to bring these guys in. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just you can't get the public interested because Mardi Gras comes right after the Saint season ends. That distracts people. And if you're not winning, there's no reason for them to go to the games because they're going to want to go to the parades instead. It's a tough sell. It really is.
I go back to something that Tom Benson said right after taking over operations of the Saints when he bought them. He admitted what he knows, and that one of those things wasn't football.
Yeah.
So he said, so I'm going to hire the football guys to do the football.
Yeah.
And the biggest mistake that Tom made when purchasing the Pelicans was doing the exact opposite of that. He just took, and you already said it, Brendan, and you echoed it, Alan. He took all his football people, his friends, and said, hey, I just bought a basketball team. Why don't you guys run this operation too? It was immediately like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and it spun out of control too fast. Mr. Benson's health, even by then, was quickly deteriorating. So I question whether he had even enough energy personally, to light the fuse on any kind of turning around of that strategy. And I say light the fuse because it would take blowing the whole thing up and starting all over again. They've had opportunities with number 1 overall picks, and Zion now, and the dude that preceded Zion, I don't know why his name escapes me. Yeah. And now potential face, right? And potential faces of the franchise that they squandered by not putting enough talent around. And now you have Queen. And Queen seems like a wonderful player. Mm-hmm. Another potential face of the franchise. And then you come out and say what you said. Hey, I think we have the makings of a playoff roster. Similar things were said about Zion, about previous teams. You're going to squander these guys' talent. Even though the Saints went sideways a little bit, at least the football guys were in place to hopefully turn it around. And that's, we saw some earmarkings of that potentially, hopefully, at the end of this season. And like you two, based off my knowledge, I'm never going to pretend to be a basketball guy. But based on my knowledge of the situation, you don't even have the personnel at the top of the chain, at the top of the pyramid, that would know how to begin turning this thing around. So I really don't see the direction changing anytime soon for this franchise.
There's no Jim Finks. That's what it boils down to. I mean, Tom Benson's first hire was Jim Finks, who has a track record of building championship teams. He built the Vikings. He built the playoff run for the Bears. It kind of set the stage for Dick and Jerry Valencia, I think his name was. Those guys who who kind of finished it off. He had that 1 year in Chicago. The Cubs. He got the Cubs back to the playoffs the first time in '84.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a track record of building success. Despite all the knocks on Mickey was part of 3 different teams that he successfully was part of that building: the 2000 Saints, 2006, and the 2017, and he won a championship. So he has a track record of being successful. You can say it with Drew Brees, you can say it Sean Payton, and you're right. But he also was smart enough to know, hey, I'm gonna let some of these guys make the calls on things.
Yeah,
because these are good. This is a good head coach. This is a Hall of Fame quarterback. These are people I can trust to help me make the right decisions. And it seems that Mickey is rebuilding the Saints for a 4th time. We all hope he is, because I think this is the final go around for Mickey. If you want Mickey to go, you want him to be successful with this rebuild, because that's all he's looking to do. Rebuild it back to a championship team, and then he sails off in the sunset.
And that would be great. And and listen, and I know a lot of people are down on the Pelicans now, and I understand why. But if you're looking for positive signs from the other New Orleans sports team, the Saints, look at what's happening in the Saints coaching staff right now.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the Pelicans, it feels like rats. And we kind of talked about it before we went on the air, or maybe one of you guys mentioned it in the last segment. Zion and other players, other potential stars or legitimate stars, they didn't want to be here. Now you're seeing Saints assistant coaches. 3 of them were interviewed by other positions. 2 of them decided to come back. Ironically, the one that I thought would stay was the only one of the 3 to leave. Jari Evans is now the new offensive line coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Scott Tolzien, after interviewing with the Steelers, elected to stay. Chase Hazlitt, after interviewing with the Steelers, elected to stay. And both of those guys had much stronger ties with Mike McCarthy, the new head coach for the Steelers, than what Jari Evans did.
And those were promotions too.
Yeah, exactly. So do you guys feel as positive about that, about Tolzien and Hazlitt coming back, as I do?
I feel positive about it for a couple reasons. The first, I think, is the obvious of the two, especially when you're implementing a new system, which we've talked about ad nauseum for the last however long it's been since Kellen Moore got hired. 8 months, 9 months. It's important to kind of keep the same voices around. I also think it's very important for the development of a young quarterback to keep your quarterbacks coach. Now, a lot of people point towards like offensive coordinator and point at guys like the Jameis Winstons and the Baker Mayfields of the world, guys who were high draft picks that just had a different coordinator every year. I think it's equally as important with your quarterback coach and making sure you have a strong relationship there. I mean, to be that guy that looks at former Saints teams. I mean, you had Lombardi and Carmichael together for however long they were together with Drew. That was important. So I think at least for like Tolzien, that's huge for him to come back and continue to develop with Tyler Shuck, who, yes, closed the year out very well. And I mean, you talk about, I think it was a redraft from ESPN that did a redraft, and Shuck
the Giants
overall.
Pissed about that.
Yeah, second overall in a redraft, though. I mean, a lot of people are really high on him, but people also forget the fact he hasn't even started a full NFL season yet.
Yeah.
All right, he's only played half a year, so I do think it's super important in that sense. The other part of it is, and the word gets thrown around way too much nowadays, but culture, right? Coaches and people. Let's take labels off of it, right? The coaches or players, whatever, and just they're human beings. Any human being that is in a job, that has a chance to go somewhere else, get a promotion, make more money, a lot of times the only reason they stay is because they go, you know what, I like the humans that I work with in this building. I like the culture here. There's these perks and there's these benefits to it.
I like what we're building. That's the way I'm taking it too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good energy. There's good vibes. If you want to be like more of a, you know, Gen Z or whatever, the vibes are great. But those things are super important. And it tells me that there is something starting to brew down in New Orleans when you have guys who want to be there, want to come back, and want to see it through and see it grow. So I think that's mega important. I think it speaks very highly to what Kellen Moore's building.
Well, what did we just talk about with when it came to the Pelicans? You know, there's not a culture. There's not a basketball culture. There's not a good culture to this team. Zion's always hurt. You know, there's a revolving door of players. The coaches haven't been very good. The general manager hasn't built anything. And it's the opposite of what you see in New Orleans with the Saints. So that is important. That, you know, these guys want to stay because, number one, they know the star players, the future star players are on this roster. You know, the things you're going to build this team around. And I'm speaking directly about Tyler Shuck. They feel like we got our quarterback now. I don't care about his age because all that means is he'll play 14 years instead of 17 years for you. You know, if he plays 12 years, he becomes the second longest tenured Saint quarterback, starting quarterback.
Right.
Right behind Drew Brees because Archie's at 11, you know. So, I mean,
nobody else has any more than 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're right. 5. Bobby Hebert has 5.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't. Yeah, he might have 7. Hang on, let me think. 85. Well, no, 85. He was starter for only 3 games.
Right.
So 85, 86. He was hurt most of that season. 87. He started. 88, 89 until the last 3 games. Missed all of 90, 91, and 92. That's Hebert's tenure, and he's in third. You know, so Jim Everett 3 years. Billy Kilmer 4 years.
Brooks 4 years.
Brooks 4 years. Yeah, you know, it's amazing. It really is. You know, you just think about the revolving door they had, and the early Saints is a lot like what you see what happened with the Pelicans. You know, new general manager, new head coaches every 2 and 3 years. Constant rebuilding, bad trades, trading away first round picks for nothing, you know, that kind of stuff. It's just things that they need a basketball person in charge of that organization to turn it around. We have football people in charge that are turning around with the Saints. Hey, so this weekend we get to find out the Hall of Fame class, and we get to find out, you know, NFL Rookie of the Year, NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, the Walter Payton candidate, all that stuff. Brendan, what do you think the odds are that Tyler Shuck wins Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Well, without being sponsored, let's try to get sponsored, Bob. Let's pull up FanDuel, and I'll tell you exactly what the odds are right now. I will. I think they're good. I'll be honest. I did not take the bet when a lot of people did. I believe he was like plus 2,000 at one point during the season. He ended up being the favorite at one point. Let's see. His current Rookie of the Year odds. They're no longer taking that bet. I had it at, I think he was like almost plus 150 the last time I looked. Unfortunately, because the Panthers made the playoffs and were able to make a little bit of a push, I think it's going to go to Tet McMillan, who had a really good year, by the way, over 1,000 yards. Really solidified himself as the number 1 receiver in Carolina after Xavier Legette has been off to a less than stellar start. for them after being selected in the first round. But award season reminds us of what, guys? It's every award, quarterback award.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a good shot. I'd say it's probably like a 35-40% chance that Chuck walks away with the award. And to be frank, I don't really think there's any other awards that there's going to be any Saints that are going to be up. Obviously, what a lot of people are waiting for with the award season 2 is the announcement of the Hall of Fame class. Now, we've already had some leaks of people who are not going to be in the Hall of Fame class. Obviously, the big ones, Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, Eli Manning did not get enough votes to get in either. One of Louisiana's favorite sons. But the Saints do have 2 guys that are finalists this year. One being Drew Brees. Can we all just in unison? That's going to happen. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he and Fitzgerald.
Yeah, if it doesn't, the Hall of Fame needs blown up and rebuilt.
If he doesn't get, are you guys going to be upset if he isn't voted unanimously to get in as a first ballot? Is that going to bother you guys at all, or as long as he gets in as a first ballot, it's fine?
Yeah, it'll bother me. I'm sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if there are 1 or 2, one or 2 morons that'll say, "Well, it was the system. If he was in any other system, he was a dink and dunk guy. He only got 1 ring."
That argument pisses me off to no end.
It does, yeah,
because. If people, I've been watching all week Super Bowl highlights. I do this every year around this time.
Same. It's my favorite time of year because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I started with 1, and I'm now up to Super Bowl 34, so I'm 10 away from the Saints. This is the Ravens-Giants game from 2000, and this whole idea of they only won 1 championship. Damn. You know how Jim Kelly would love to have 1 championship? He had 4 chances. Frank Tarkenton had 3 chances. It took John Elway,
15 years.
4 chances.
Yeah.
To get, and I mean, and not just, I mean, they didn't just lose. They got routed every game.
I'm aware.
I know you're an Elway fan. I hate rubbing this in on you, but I just got finished watching those games. I mean, the Redskins set that record, 5 touchdowns in a quarter, the largest margin of victory by a team. The 49ers scored 55 points on the Broncos, 45-point margin. It was bigger than the Bears of 85. It's just, and then he finally got his 1. He got 2, but he finally got his 2. But nobody was saying, well, yeah, John Elway, he's a Hall of Famer, but, I mean, it's I blame Tom Brady, which I know this is why you were chuckling that Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft are not first ballot Hall of Famers. I blame what Tom Brady did, as now people think, well, that's normal. This is what you just do, and Patrick Mahomes is kind of doing it. He's gotten multiple rings in a short span of time in his career. He's young enough that it's likely he could get more. But there were so many guys. Right now, I'm going to see Trent Dilfer get a ring. Just guys that, I don't know. I just hate that argument. Oh, he only won a ring. One ring. No, man, look at the damn records he set. He broke the unbreakable record. Look at a young Sean Payton. I forgot he was on this Giants team as new offensive coordinator. But he broke the record that was considered unbreakable, consecutive games with a touchdown pass. And no one is close right now.
I don't know if the record's going to get touched in any of our lifetime.
No. And we play in an era where they throw the ball constantly. You're first and goal inside the 5. chances are you're going to throw the ball more than run it. And they still aren't going to touch that record. So, I mean, that one there alone is Hall of Fame worthy. But all the things he did, highest percentage of completions, and he did that as he got older.
Yeah.
Most not even most, when he retired, most yardage, when he retired, most attempts, most completions. There's too many things that he's done. Most games he threw for over 5,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of only one, there's almost every quarterback has only one, except a Chicago Bears quarterback. They haven't thrown for 4,000 yet. Still,
right.
But Breeze has got 5 times he threw for over 5,000 yards.
Yeah, and like you said, nobody else did it more than one time in a 16-game season. It took 17 games for, I think, Brady and Stafford each eclipse 5,000 one more time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I understand the argument about Manning because Manning had very mediocre seasons. Regular seasons outside of winning 2 Super Bowls. He seemed to save his best for when he got to the Super Bowl. But I understand why he wasn't like a Brady, a Breeze, even an Aaron Rodgers, who had incredibly strong regular seasons leading up to postseason runs. So I understand that train of thought. I don't understand the Bill Belichick.
No, I don't either. And I have. I know you were probably going here with this. I have little doubt. That it's some backlash and quote unquote slaps on the wrist for the cheating. My argument is, why the hell didn't you do anything about it at the time?
Yep.
Because just like the Bounty Gate bullshit and the other thing, that this is something that every team does or tries, every coach does or tries. It just so happens that particularly in the latter stages of the Tagliabue era, and certainly in the corrupt regime of corrupt Nazi motherfucker Roger Goodell.
Well, there goes our rating for the night.
The Patriots were just brazen and out front about it, knowing that nothing was going to happen to them because they were the darlings. And now they're getting, I'm not even going to say punished, because Kraft is going to get in there. Belichick is going to get in there, and they should.
Slapped on the wrist.
Exactly. This is just a slap on the wrist. And it's, like I said, my argument is, why the F didn't you do anything about it at the time?
And honestly, what's the difference? Because I guarantee you, no one goes to the Hall of Fame. There's no plaque, nothing in the Hall of Fame, and I will be there this August. But there's nothing in the Hall of Fame that says, oh, this guy was a 3rd ballot Hall of Famer or a 4th ballot Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer, period. John Madden got into the Hall of Fame as a head coach, basically a few years before he died. Ken Stabler got in after he died. No one looks at those busts and go, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Stabler played for a long time, and then he didn't get in the Hall of Fame until after he was dead. No one remembers that. So it's a stupid thing to make a statement. Oh, well, you won't be a 1st ballot, but you'll be in the Hall of Fame. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Honestly. I mean, the only thing that's important about a 1st ballot Hall of Famer is that you answer the question that you cannot talk about the NFL without talking about Bill Belichick. You can't get in the NFL without talking about Robert Kraft. As much as I don't like the man, he did turn around a franchise that used to be owned by the Norelco shave guy, Victor Kayam, whose only contribution was horrible records and a sexual harassment suit. I just, it's a stupid thing to make a statement about.
I agree. But they make a statement because they know it's going to piss them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they did it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Oh, exactly.
Let's talk about the other Saints guy before we run out of time that is on the, on the ballot this year, and that's Jari Evans. We kind of brought him up already because he took a coaching job. What do you guys? I'll pose this to you guys because the question was posed to me about what are the odds for Tyler Shuck? What are the odds that Jari Evans gets in as a first ballot? Personally, I don't think they're very good.
No,
but
I don't either.
I do think he's one of those guys where he'll eventually get in.
Yeah, I do believe he'll eventually get in. He should be in, but he played for a team that often gets overlooked in these kind of things with the Saints. Now maybe Breeze getting in will kind of open the door. That's what happened. That's what happened with the Broncos and Elway. Elway got in. That sort of, if people felt that kind of opened the door for Floyd Little. Certainly Shannon Sharp. Hopefully Rod Smith. Maybe Drew Brees getting in will sort of open the door for the criminal overlooking of Pat Swilling. Getting Jari Evans in, I do agree. I don't think he'll get in this time because the other factor working against him is he doesn't play a glamorous position.
That's the big thing.
You have right now, and we all knew this would happen at wide receiver. You have a log jam at wide receiver. You're starting to get a little bit of a log jam at pass rusher. The voters, the senior voters especially, are going to want to start to push for these guys to get in. By doing so, you're going to have off-ball linebackers overlooked. You're going to have offensive linemen overlooked. Jari certainly deserves his spot there. I do believe that he'll get in as a modern era player at some point. But unfortunately, I have a hard time believing it's going to be this year.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats right now. 4-time first team All-Pro, 1-time second team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, not when it actually mattered. The big one, the big two for
Sanders era.
Oh my God. Yeah. But the big two, I think, that are in his favor, Super Bowl champion and the 2010s all-decade team, NFL all-decade team. That gets a lot of people's attention when you're named to an all-decade team. He plays guard, and that's a position that's hard to get into the NFL Hall of Fame because it's not the left tackle, which is more the glamour position now. It doesn't mean he's not worthy. He's obviously worthy of it. It's just it'll take the Hall some time to do it. Now, the interesting thing is how many names have been leaked that have not made it. The only one that's been leaked that made it was Roger Craig. That's another guy who waited quite a while to get in. I just have a feeling Jari's. I don't know. I don't know where he fits in with the class that he can get in. That's the hard part. It would be fitting that he goes in with Drew Brees.
It would.
And I felt like that helped Ricky Jackson and Morton Anderson, Willie Roaf got in.
Yeah.
Because you kind of started pulling Saints in. Now that you now that you have one in. And Willie Roaf was obviously somebody, he was on 2 all-decade teams. He never won a Super Bowl, but he was all-pro, Pro Bowler, all these things. He had all the stats. I felt like that kind of pulled a lot of guys in.
Yeah, and thank you for breaking that news to me. I didn't know that it had been leaked that Craig's going to get in.
Yeah.
Craig, LC Greenwood too. I was hearing, Alan, but I don't know how accurate that was. Yeah,
I hope so.
Roger Craig should have been in a long time.
Absolutely,
the guy who changed the way that position was looked and opened the door.
First guy ever who did the double 1,000 yard rushing, 1,000 yard receiving.
85 or 86.
I think
85.
it was 85. Yeah.
85?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
So-
all I can think about is him high stepping through those LA Rams players. That
Yeah.
highlight. Yeah, he revolutionized the position. No one used a running back quite like him
Mm-hmm.
in that system, in that West Coast system.
Open the door for all the wonderful quote unquote scat backs you've had over the years, and we've certainly had a handful of good ones in New Orleans. Let's talk about some of those New Orleans Saints offensive players and pending free agents, and maybe just some other offensive guys that have some question marks around them going into the offseason. Do we want to start with the big kahuna right out the gate and work our way down?
Is there a big kahuna on offense? Well, a big name.
I was going to say a big name of a guy who isn't a free agent or pending free agent, but a guy where there has been question marks surrounding whether or not he's going to be shopped this offseason. Do we want to start there, or do we want to start with the smaller names and work our way up? Bob, it's your show. I'll let you run it.
Listen, if you're talking Alvin Kamara, and I suspect that you are, that will and should be a topic, but I don't know. I do expect that there'll be some discussions. There'll certainly be rumors because there's rumors about Alvin Kamara every offseason. I think that this one could have a little bit of smoke, or it could have a little bit of fire to that smoke. But like you said, he's not a pending free agent, and there are some contractual issues that the Saints would have to skirt. I think it's more likely the Saints go after someone to share his backfield touches and be his complete replacement for 2027 and beyond. Whether that's Love in the draft, Allen or Singleton later on in the draft, a guy like Breece Hall or and free agency. I think it's going to be one of those options. But I do believe that Alvin Kamara will be a Saint in 2026.
I agree. I think we're finally going to see Alvin Kamara put back into the role that he seemed most successful at. The short yard, not the short yardage, but the obvious passing situations, or they're going to line him up more as a receiver than a running back. But I think his workload will be cut in half. Honestly, I think he will not be on the field as much as people expected, especially if they draft a guy like Jordan Love. Not Jordan Love, I'm sorry. The running back from Notre Dame.
Jeremiah. Yeah, I knew who you meant.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love. If they draft him, I mean, obviously he'd be the focal point of the offense because he runs that inside zone that Kellen Moore really, really likes. I think you'll see some people ask about Kamara, but I think the Saints are kind of stuck with how much of a cap hit they're going to take by trying to move him. So, and Kamara has said openly, I don't want to go anywhere else. So that's the hard part about trading somebody. It's not like a Rashid Shaheed with no real significant cap hit. So we can move this guy.
Yeah.
And now, what about the actual free agents, though? All three of us have addressed this, so it probably won't take long. Taysom Hill, you think he's back?
No.
Unfortunately not. I can tell you where I think he ends up. I think we all can.
Well, I hope he ends up on the couch.
Retire.
I really want him to retire. I don't want him playing for Denver.
Yeah, and I have a feeling he will. But if he plays, I'm pretty positive it's going to be for Sean Payton. Any other prospective offensive free agents? Yeah, the main ones: Will Clapp, Dylan Radins, Dante Pettis, Luke Fortner, Foster Moreau. I am not sure whether Audric Estime is a free agent or not, but I know those other guys are. My opinion, there's no urgency at all to bring any of these guys back, but I think you could see a Fortner back. or a Moreau back. If they don't bring in another tight end, you almost have to bring Moreau back. I think you could see a Fortner back or a Radunz as backup. We all know that the Saints need to upgrade the interior offensive line. We hope for good health from Eric McCoy. But a guy like Fortner, a guy like Clapp, who was brought in to be insurance for McCoy before he got hurt first, you need to have one of those guys on your roster or somebody like them.
Yeah, I think they spend the big money in free agency on a guard, at least one, if not trying to get two. I think two is stretching it, but I think one for sure as a starter, as a left guard. Just because if you're going to draft a running back, if you want to protect your investment at quarterback, you need to upgrade the interior of that offensive line. Yeah. And, Cesar Ruiz is not somebody you can easily move or get rid of. So, what you want to do with Ruiz is you want to find somebody to beat him out, But you have to fill in that spot where Penny was. You have no left guard right now. You have some capable backups, but you don't have a starter. So you need to have a starter there.
I feel like, in my opinion, the most likely thing to happen for Cesar Ruiz is the Saints either hit somebody in free agency to take that spot, or one of the nights that we're doing our draft-a-thon, the Saints select a guard, let's say round 3 or round 4, and they trade Ruiz on draft night for a 5th-round pick.
You ain't getting a 5th-round pick for Cesar Ruiz, though.
You never know. There are teams that have done sillier stuff with their draft picks. Especially when you start getting the 5th, 6th. When you get to day 3, those picks fly. You know that as well as I do. Somebody will take a swing if the fruit is dangled. Nobody's going to call you and be like, hey, would you do this? But if the Saints are starting to call people, hey, we're looking at, moving off of Cesar Ruiz, is that something? And so, I might be able to give you a 6th-round pick. Well, how about a 5th? Okay, done. I could see a situation like that. I have a feeling Ruiz has played his last game in New Orleans.
I hope you're right, but I lean more towards what Alan said. I mean, first and foremost, you need someone at the other guard spot. You need a starting guard in free agency. The lottery ticket will be you get 2. But I agree with you, Alan. Yeah, I think that's unlikely to happen. But they 100% absolutely need to get one. That will probably be the first position filled with their first outside signing off the market. If you get 2, then you move on from Ruiz. If you don't, then do you bring a Fortner? Do you bring a Radunz, a Clapp back? Because you're not necessarily going to turn over the starting job to a 3rd or a 4th round pick. They might win it, but you're not going to turn it over to them. So in other words, if you only sign one guard and one starting guard in free agency, you're almost stuck going into training camp with Cesar Ruiz as your starter.
Yeah. That is why I think that you can't move him yet. You want to, but you really can't, because unless you have somebody you're like, okay, that's going to be my starter week 1, and I'm going to eat the cap hit for trading Ruiz. You almost are forced to do this, and you're like, well, I can survive with 1 weak spot. I can't survive with 2 in the middle. So it'll be tough. It'll have to be something that someone's gonna have to offer, something you had no idea they were gonna offer, like a 3rd. If somebody offered a 3rd for Ruiz, I'm helping him pack.
Hell yes.
Because I can save that money. I get an extra third round pick. I can draft a guy who's probably much better than him, and I will roll with a rookie there with somebody like a Fortner as the 2D Robbins of the situation. And those of you who know who 2D Robbins is, that was the guy who was supposed to be the tackle that Willie Roaf was going to have to work behind. Well, that lasted about 3 days in the camp before Willie Roaf beat him, so but yeah, you're really concerned about McCoy. Can McCoy stay healthy for a year? So you're kind of forced to say, look, I'm gonna bite the bullet on Ruiz right now because I at least want to be a left-handed team. So we'll see what happens on that. I think tight end is a bigger concern.
I do too. Foster Moreau,
I think it's interesting. Is he a guy you want to bring back? He had a little bit of a disappointing year this past year, obviously dealing with injuries and all that, but didn't really produce anything special for you, like his first year. And kind of where's he at this point in his career? Is he a guy that you want to be able to lean on? Because let's address not the elephant in the room, but yeah, Juwan Johnson's listed as a tight end, but he's not going to be the tight end that you want in
he's not an inline tight end.
Right, I was going to say, like in the 22 personnel, it's not like I'm going to sit there and be like, Juwan, go out there and block the edge guy. You need a guy like that, and that's what Foster was brought in for.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what his asking price is to bring him back. Like, if you can bring him back pretty cheap, or is it something where I don't know the tight ends in the free agency class, or do you look to get kind of what I would call a utility tight end in the draft? And when I say utility tight end, I'm talking about the Foster Moreaus or the Josh Hills of the world, who aren't going to jump off of a page at you with statistics.
One of my draft crushes is the tight end from NC State, Justin Jolie.
Bob's already
big physical specimen. But I mean, free agency, you have some interesting names. Dallas Goedert, I would love to have in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Dallas Goedert.
David Njoku, Chika Okonkwo from the Tennessee Titans. Cade Otton.
You're just making names up.
Go back and watch that Titans Saints game, man.
Yeah.
The Saints couldn't stop them. Cade Otton. I think Cade Otton would be a nice fit for this system.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Juwan, like it or not, and none of the three of us, all three of us, especially Alan and I, have been screaming to draft a tight end, or somewhere even in day two, for I think as long as we've known each other. I think it's pretty clear that they want Juwan Johnson to be their pass catching tight end. So if they're going to get a guy in free agency or the draft, it's going to be a two-way guy that is a more traditional inline. I think Goddard fits that. Cade Otton certainly does. That's why I think he'd be a good fit. Njoku is more like a Juwan.
But he's ripped.
But he is ripped.
That's a massive dude.
You bring Foster Moreau back. It's on a cheap deal, which I think you stand a good chance of getting. It's not like Foster's been, has ever filled up the stat sheet. And we know, he was born and raised in New Orleans, went to school at LSU, loved coming back to New Orleans as a free agent. So, so I think you have that working in your favor if you're going to bring Foster back. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I'll put it that way.
Well, I'm looking at the list, and of course, Kyle Pitts is probably going to end up in Kansas City. Isaiah Likely, Njoku is out there. That's probably your top three. Darren Waller if he's rediscovered the fountain of youth. Higbee, I doubt he leaves. Austin Hooper's still around. That's a former Saint. Troutman, another former Saint. Yeah, there's not a whole heck of a lot. I was watching the Pittsburgh tight ends, depending on who they're going to hire as a head coach, but since they hired Mike McCarthy, they're not going to let any of those tight ends go.
No, I was like you. I was hoping I was hoping that they might cut ties with Freiermuth, because that's a guy who I wanted the Saints to draft when he came out.
Yeah, exactly. When they were giving Washington a lot of looks, I thought for sure that the writing was kind of on the wall for Freiermuth, but not with McCarthy. McCarthy is going to use two tight ends. He's going to want an inline tight end. Yeah, that's part of his offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
No, go ahead, Bob.
but other than that, unless Audric Estime is going to be a free agent, and like I said, guys, I'm not 100% sure on that. I think Estime is a guy that you at least consider bringing back on a cheap deal to compete with Kendre Miller, for that number 3 spot, assuming the Saints sign or draft a running back to share backfield duties with Kamara, because I love the way Estime played down the stretch, and I think that's someone that could at least make Kendre Miller say, you know what, if I get nicked up in training camp, I'm liable to be cut this time.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know if Miller makes it to training camp.
I think he probably does.
Like Evan Neal either, who I thought before his injury had a strong couple games as well. So
me too.
He was a much better blitz picker. He picked up the blitz and pass block so much better than Miller did. He did a better job than Kamara did. Honestly, it was a very Mark Ingram like play out of him. So I think he kind of played himself into the mix as a regular contributor on this team.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Miller is the one that's on the outside looking in, honestly, because he can't stay healthy and
different.
He just doesn't. Yeah. I just feel like it's Estime is going to be in the mix. I think Neal's going to be in the mix. I think they bring in if they don't draft a running back for sure, they're going to try and bring one in free agency. Assuming that the Jets don't tag Bryce Hall, I think he has got Saints written all over him.
Yeah, he does.
That would be great.
Yeah. And if they bring in Bryce Hall and draft a running back, then it's really going to be tough. I think Miller's going to be in trouble. I think I still think Neal will make the team, but Kamara would almost be an invisible man. If they don't try and move him.
I was gonna say, if you sign a Breece Hall and then you turn around and draft a Jeremiah Love, I think you deal Kamara. You almost have to. You deal him before the end of the draft.
And
if you say, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's where you'll get a maximum value for Kamara too.
Yeah.
If you try and wait to the trade deadline, you're not going to get the kind of deal.
No.
You'll probably get something along the lines of what you got for Shaheed if you wait to the draft deadline.
At best.
And trade deadline. Whereas you could probably get you won't get a pick this year, but you could possibly get a lower pick this year and a pick that could potentially be something else next year.
Yeah.
One of those, we'll give you a 5th round now, and we'll give you a 4th that could possibly become a 2nd, depending on what happens. And that would be a hell of a deal for a 30-year-old running back.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I think this year more than anything else, more than any other year than my recent memory, their free agent strategy will dictate what we're going to see out of them in the draft. They don't sign a Brees Hall or Kenneth Walker, who I don't think Seattle's going to let escape.
No,
they
not
don't
this
sign
postseason.
right. They don't sign in either one of those guys, and I think that there's a real shot that Jeremiah Love is a Saint if he's still on the board at number 8.
Yeah, the two names I'm seeing, and I know we're jumping all over the place, but the two names I'm seeing associated with the Saints a lot is Jeremiah Love and the pass rusher from Texas Tech, Walker, I think his name is. I don't remember David Walker. Is that right?
David Bailey.
David Bailey. I was close. I was one. It was either a TV show or a movie. I had to think about it, but yeah, David Bailey. That's the other name I keep seeing a lot. But Bailey is somebody that's going to go higher if the Saints don't take him. But this Bucky Brooks had a mock, and he had David Bailey going to the Saints, and then Jeremiah Love the next pick to Kansas City. So, which I don't know how Kansas City has a pick that high, but
that'd be dangerous.
Oh yeah,
a guy like Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
I'm with Bob. I think free agency dictates a lot of what they do with their first and second round picks. You don't sign Brees Hall and then go draft Jeremiah Love.
Right.
No.
Personally, I want Jeremiah Love. I shared that a couple weeks ago.
You know what? I love Brees Hall, but I'm the same. Now, I wouldn't be against signing a Brees Hall and then trying to get a Katron Allen or a Nick Singleton in round 3. Something like that. That'd be a heck of a pairing.
No, because then you could take a pass rusher without any hesitation.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, another good show. You mentioned on ice.
Sure.
Is that what I hear?
I am. Sorry, I should have muted.
I was just like, am I hearing noises? Just trust me, with as much snow and ice as we've got, I've heard all sorts of stuff in the gutters as things melt. It sounds pretty wild. I appreciate all of you, the viewers, the listeners,
for sure.
With
Super Bowl picks.
Oh yes, Let's not forget. Okay. Well, first off, it's been pretty cool here to be in the Carolinas, with Drake May being in the Super Bowl. A Charlotte kid, played at Chapel Hill, is in the Super Bowl. It's been all over the news, lots of storylines here. That's really nice. I hope I never see New England win another Super Bowl in my life.
Right. Right.
So, I truthfully think the Seattle Seahawks are going to find a way. Drake May has not had a good postseason. Though the Patriots defense has really showed up so far this postseason. I think that having a grizzled veteran quarterback that's seen the highs and the lows, like the highest and the lowest that you can in an NFL career, I think is really going to help Seattle in a game like this. I think they have better playmakers. Obviously, JSN is incredible. A friend of the show, friend of the program, Rashid Shaheed. I could see him be a guy who returns a kick or a punt for a touchdown in a game like this. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that has, big play written all over him, big play and big game type of guy. You already talked about K9, Kenneth Walker. I mean, you talk about a hell of a running back. I like how they're built. I don't see this being a particularly high scoring game, but I also don't see this being like the New England and St. Louis Super Bowl of like 13-3. I see this being somewhere in the 20s and being tight for a lot of it. So I'll take the Seattle Seahawks 28-20. And I do think Rashid Shaheed gets on the board, whether that be a return or a catch or something. He's gonna leave his thumbprints on this game with a big play.
Alan?
Okay. I think Seattle wins. I think Seattle wins pretty convincingly. The Patriots, I feel like they've come very far very quickly. But I think Drake May's limitations as a first time in the postseason are going to start showing up. The Patriots played the kind of game they needed to play to win versus the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans basically threw that game away, literally, with CJ Stroud. I don't think they faced a defense quite like Houston's got a hell of a defense, but they haven't faced a defense and an offense quite like Seattle. Seattle can beat you by running the ball, and Darnold can throw the ball. And that defense is so ferocious. If Drake has an average to poor game, it's going to get ugly fast. But if he has a solid game, I think it can be a close one. But I just feel like Seattle's just got too much going for him right now. I do think Vrabel wins Coach of the Year, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Because of what he's done with that team. But I just don't think they are ready to make that step. This is not a Tom Brady Patriots team. This is Drake May's team, and Drake May's not Tom Brady right now. So I just feel like it's Seattle by 10. And I can see Shaheed scoring a touchdown. Definitely can see Shaheed scoring a touchdown. I'm not going to do that on FanDuel, but I can see that's going to be a popular bet. Rashid Shaheed returns a punt for a touchdown or a kickoff for a touchdown.
And I'll tell you, I would love that. I love Rashid Shaheed. It's really the only rooting interest I have in this game other than an asteroid strike. Because I hate the Sea Hags almost as much as I hate the Patriots. I will give New England a significant advantage in one area, and that is coaching. Mm-hmm. Coaching experience at this level. You not only have Vrabel, but you have McDaniel, and because of that, I think it could make this game interesting. And I know it's cliche, but it's going to come down to which defense exposes which quarterback. Because the Patriots are playing wonderful defense, and that's gotten overlooked in this preseason. Like you said, Brendan. But there's nobody playing better defense than the Seattle Seahawks. Overall, I think Seattle is the more complete team. There's not a better receiver in the NFL than JSN. It's just, frankly, I don't think anybody's really very close either. I think he's playing that good. But it nauseates me because I keep calling Sam Darnold a fraud, yet here he is. So it makes me sick. But at the end of the day, I think, I already said Seattle is the more complete team. They're also playing at the top of their game right now. And because of all those factors, unless Sam Darnold becomes Sam Darnold again, I think I agree with you, Alan. I think Seattle wins and wins convincingly. I'm going to go Seahags 31, Patriots 16.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bob, on that one because, it is tough for me to acknowledge the Seahags at all. But I just feel like, God, that they've got everything going for them right now.
Yeah,
they really do. It would take an incredible coaching effort by Vrabel to figure out a way to shut down that run and put it all on Darnold. Mm-hmm. And for his offense to wear that defense out by staying on the field, because that's the way they're going to win. If they win the game, it's going to be because they have the time of possession almost 2-1.
Yeah.
Be a handful of former Saints, Saints players and coaches, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Way to say that.
Mm-hmm.
That would win a Super Bowl if Seattle does ultimately come out on top. Friends, where can we find everybody over on social media? We'll start with the guest of the podcast tonight, down with Alan Ulrich.
Well, I'm always on Facebook and X/Twitter. 79 Saints on Twitter. And just my name, obviously, on Facebook. As we get into free agency, I'm going to have some stuff about free agency and some of the moves they need to make. The Saints, they got good news on the salary cap. They're up to $300 million.
Mhm.
So they're only $15 million over because you have to carry over the Derek Carr contract hit. But $15 million for Mickey Loomis, that's pocket change. That's easy to move around. And some of it also is you have to restructure and extend contracts to Demario Davis and Cam Jordan to clear that up. So talking about that stuff, talking about draft, I'll have mock drafts. I'll be doing that pretty soon too, because that's coming up. It's mock draft season. So
Yeah.
But those are the two places you can mainly find me.
All right.
Well, with me, folks, I'm going to start focus on free agency first, but draft profiles be a coming. And you can find all that through my works at the Saints Wire over on USA Today. Working for a terrific boss, and John Sigler, not like that cowardly criminal Kyle Mosley over at Sports Illustrated. I'm so happy to be away from that dick.
Tell me how you really feel, Bob.
I'm gonna really soon, including screenshots. Folks, the man owes me damn near $1,000 for work already done. And he's done nothing but duck me after false promises and lies. Like being a liar, a coward, and a thief isn't enough. He was an absolute hypocrite of a boss. I'm just glad to be rid of him, and that's for Kyle T. Mosley today. But working with John Sigler at Saints Wire has been great. The only thing that I miss is working with John Hendricks. And you too, Brendan. Which I was fortunate enough to do so for so many years. If you want to catch my draft profile stuff, do it over at Saints Wire. And of course, I also post all those articles as well as our show links and my free agency profiles on my personal social media. Bob Rose on Facebook, at Bobby R 2613, and last but not least, Thursday, March 26th through Monday, March 30th, book your trip to the Bahamas. Contact me how to do it, but check out tcynow.org. That's the Get Checked or Check Out website. Give them a hand, and donate what you can. But the best way to help them and treat yourself is go on this cruise. Join me and my family, Tyrone Hughes, Michael Lewis, Courtney Roby, dozens and dozens of other Who Dat Nation. It is a family reunion, and it's going to be so. You're going to be able to do it in the Bahamas while benefiting a great charity.
For myself, you can follow me just about everywhere here at BT Boylan. To echo Bob a little bit, working with John for as long as we did, Hendricks, was awesome. Having John Hendricks as a boss for a very short time with Athlon was awesome.
Fuck Athlon too, but go on.
So
that's another show.
We started the show talking about, well, I guess we got about 15, 20 minutes into the show, and we started talking about guys wanting to go back to places that they worked because of people, because of culture, because of whatever. I would never go back for the culture that was Sports Illustrated and what we were doing there. But I would go in a heartbeat, go back to work with Bob Rose and John Hendricks in a heartbeat.
Thank you.
And I did with Athlon in a heartbeat. Came back. So as much as we share feelings on the show about other experiences, I do really miss working with that guy every day. And John, wherever you are in the
Thank you.
world, really miss working with you on a daily basis. It is incredible to think that during that time period, Bob, I know you hit 1,000 published pieces in our time working together. I had over 1,000 published works, whether it be video content or written content. And John probably had about 20 billion tweets from the future during that time span too. But no, if anything, guys at home, the people you work with is super important, but who you work for and your mental state is also super important. And with that, thanks so much for tuning in. We will be back next week. Got to adjust some times and some dates. It's busy season for Brendan's full-time job. So we're going to figure it out. But until then, I hope you guys find peace, spread love, practice positivity, and enjoy Super Bowl weekend. It's one of the most wonderful times of the year. We'll be back next week. See you then.
Thank you, Brendan.
guys.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Alan.